Hello everyone, it's Amy. I'm here from Mother Goose Librarian to share with you some picture books that I've recently read. I went to the library twice in the last week, and I've gotten two humongous piles of picture books to share. I have picked through and chosen some books that I decided not to talk about, but these particular ones I chose to talk about. And if I ever don't mention an author's name, it's probably because I may not have my reading glasses on, and it's sometimes difficult for me to see the text in a picture book without my reading glasses or magnification that I use to read and write. So this is a book called The White House Cat, and basically I will show you. Here is the author and the illustrator. And this book is basically a story about the White House cat, and he talks about his adventures that he goes through, or his daily routine as he explores, from the time that he wakes up and till the time that he goes to sleep at night. And he is exploring the White House and going through the different rooms of the White House. I'm trying a new setup here with a camera arm that I'm not sure that I like, so I may not use that for this entire video. We'll see how it goes. But this was a cute story. I recommend it. It's nothing stellar that's going to rock your world, but it is a really cute story. And these are books I forgot to mention that came out in 2022. So that was The White House Cat. This next book is one of my favorites that I've read so far, and it's called The Most Important Thing, and I loved this book. This was amazing. Oh, and let's see. I think we have to go inside the title page to see the author better. The author and the illustrator. And this book is so cute. It talks about, each page is an animal that talks about itself as being the most important animal because of a certain feature. So for instance, the rabbit talks about himself as being the most important animal as he has long ears. And everybody ponders that and thinks about that, and they wonder, yes, maybe it is a good thing to have tall ears and long ears that stick up. And it shows, of course, the different animals with their ears sticking up. And it goes through the whole book like that, featuring different animals, the elephant and his trunk. And I love the fact that these pages fold out. But you'll have to read to find out what they decide is the most important thing in an animal in the world to have. So very cute. I highly recommend this book. I gave this one 5 stars. The next book is by Alyssa Satin Capicilli. She's the author of this book, and she's the author of the Biscuit series of books. So this book is called... Sorry for that movement. I hit the camera. This book is called Library Fish, and this is one of my favorites, but I collect books that have to do with libraries or anything to do with reading and books. So this is one that's going to be hopefully added to my personal collection, but this is Library Fish, and this is the story of a fish who becomes the library fish. And one night, Library Fish is a little sad because no one comes to the library that particular day, or one day I should say. He's sad because no one comes to the library that day. He can't see the children check out books. He's not seeing story time with the librarian, animatedly telling stories in the library. But the day that no one comes to the library, he realizes that perhaps no one's coming into the library because of all of the snow. So he comes up with a solution to help himself, as well as the bookmobile, who is another character in the story where you get to see, Library Fish loves going on the days that he gets to go on the bookmobile. So read to find out what happens when Library Fish, what his plan is, and what happens when he comes up with a plan to help himself feel better about being alone in the library that day. Okay, I switched to not using that particular camera holder, I guess is what I want to call it. It's an arm that clips onto my table, and I don't think that seems to be working all that well. But the next book I have is called Una and the Shark. And Una is a mermaid, and she wants to befriend the shark. But the shark is a little shy, doesn't seem to want to be friends with Una, and Una tries various things to become the shark's friend. And it isn't until she creates an invention that the shark is, he's actually, let me back up a little bit. He's pretty content with counting his seashells and playing with his seashell collection. But it isn't until Una creates an invention that sorts sea glass by color that he seems to be pretty intrigued by that idea, and he joins her. I'll go through a couple of the illustrations. And then they do become friends. So this was a cute story too. I think I gave this 3 or maybe 4 stars, Una and the Shark. The next book I have, I really enjoyed, and this one is called Where's Bina Bear? Bina, I think is how you say her name. And this is written and illustrated by Mike Corrado. And the illustrations in this book are fabulous. I love the bright colors. That's something that the bright and the bold color seems to really catch my attention in a picture book. And in this particular book, Bear attends a party at Rabbit's house, the little rabbit, and Bear is shy and doesn't seem to really want to be a part of the party, doesn't seem to like that kind of atmosphere. So Bear is hiding, and the little rabbit is looking for him, or her, excuse me, Bina. And it's kind of humorous throughout the book as the reader can obviously see Bina and how she's disguising herself with a lampshade as the lamp, and their conversation that goes on between the two, the lamp and the bunny, and different things in the book where you can see Bina disguising herself. And it isn't until later in the story that Rabbit realizes that Bina isn't a fan of the party, and that's okay. You can be who you want to be, and I will still be your friend, is basically what the rabbit is saying to Bina. So Where is Bina Bear? Mike Corrado. That was a great one. This next story was funny. Super Spaghetti. And in this story, there's a boy who loves spaghetti. That's one of his favorite things to eat. And he loves it so much that he would like to have an invention where spaghetti can be created much faster. So his mom is an inventor, and she goes ahead and creates a spaghetti machine. And in the story, there ends up being lots and lots of spaghetti. Basically, he gets what he wishes for. And then he himself becomes spaghetti, and he is Super Spaghetti. And you'll have to read to find out what happens in Super Spaghetti, to find out if he's able to stop the production of the spaghetti in the spaghetti machine. This next book is really cute. I enjoyed this one a lot. And this book is called Chester Van Chime, Who Forgot How to Rhyme. There's the author and the illustrator. And in this book, Chester is a young boy who's usually very good. I love looking at end papers. He's usually very good at rhyming. But one day he wakes up and decides that for some reason he's not able to come up with a single rhyme. And in this book, it's very clever in the fact that there are different words and phrases that replace what would actually be a rhyme that you could come up with based on the rest of the story. And Chester still doesn't come up with the rhyme. He comes up with another word. So, for instance, everybody's perplexed as to why Chester can't rhyme, and they try to help him. And if you see here, there are different clues that are given for the rhyme, and instead of the rhyme of the cat, Chester comes up with tiny lion. So he comes up with phrases that would work, but they don't quite make it rhyme in the story or in the sequence of the day of what's happening. Chester Van Chime, who forgot how to rhyme. So take a look at this book and see. I think this would be a great read aloud to see if your kids that you're reading with could come up with the rhyme that is missing, that Chester can't think of. And you'll have to read to find out if he can get his rhyming mojo back. The next book is called Minna, and I know that it's pronounced Minna because I believe I listened to the author read this one. And Matthew Forsythe is that one. Maybe I didn't hear the author. I didn't hear him read this, but I don't know if it's Minna or Mina. But in this story, Matthew Forsythe has illustrated a longer picture book. If you can take a look at the number of pages, I don't know for sure how many there are, but it's definitely more than 32 pages, which is the traditional picture book is 32 pages. But in this story, Mina Mouse is at home one day when her father brings home something that she isn't so sure about. Her father likes to bring home interesting things. And one day he brings home a cat, which he is calling it a raccoon in the story. And Mina is not so sure what to think about that. And she's kind of afraid of the cat, of course, as a mouse would be. And the story goes through different scenes where Minna slowly starts to perhaps trust the fact that this cat or raccoon is not going to harm anyone and becomes a little more comfortable. But as the story goes on, the cats do eventually turn, or actually the cat and then plural cats, because Minna's father brings home more cats as the story progresses. And they do end up turning on them, and they have to run away. And the cats chase them up a tree eventually. And you'll have to read to find out what happens with Mina and her father and the cats who they thought were raccoons. So, in the story Mina, Chester Van Chime, who forgot how to rhyme, Super Spaghetti. Oh, where has been a bear? I wanted to point something out with this. Oftentimes, I like to look at the end papers, but I have pointed out before that I like to take off dust jackets to see and take a peek what's underneath. And unfortunately, with a library book, they're attached, and you can't really see that well. But if you take a peek under the cover, the dust jacket cover, you can see that Binna is actually hiding underneath the dust jacket. So she finds many places to hide. Una and the Shark. Library Fish. The Most Important Thing. And finally, the White House Cat. I hope that you've enjoyed my picture book talk, and I'll be back soon to share some more picture books with you. And in the meantime, happy reading, and I hope that you have a particular book that is tugging at your heartstrings. The particular book in this pile that's tugging at my heartstrings so far is The Library Fish. Have a great day. Happy reading.